Welcome in Wednesday night, TNC Radio.live. This is Keep On Talking. And now here's your host, Tom Kurt.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. It's great to be here tonight. We're here gathered as we do each week at the Counter of Knowledge. Since the truck stops have shut down a lot of our dining options and the tables and counters that we used to gather around to share thoughts, ideas, stories of the day, tall tales, and whatever would cross our minds largely went by the wayside. This is a way for us to keep that sense of community going and discussions on a whole bunch of topics. And man, do we have a hot button topic for, I think, every driver tonight. We're going to be talking autonomous trucking. For those of you who have been hiding under a rock the last few years, different companies have proposed different ways of bringing autonomous trucking to the road and the different levels of trucking. And now the FMCSA is getting ready to put out some proposed rulemaking here in the foreseeable future about that, as well as some testing for what they call level 2 and level 3 autonomous trucks, and some of the training requirements that are going to be involved in that for drivers. So comment periods are starting to open up for some of that. And it's going to be real important for drivers to jump in and give some of their thoughts. But one of the things that I want to start off tonight real quick here is the FMCSA, I can't remember for how long, has been officially without an administrator. Well, that just changed back here in the end of September. Robin Hutchinson was finally named as head of the FMCSA as the administrator. So she'll be coming in doing that. Well, she doesn't have a direct trucking background. She was the director of public works for the city of Minneapolis, as well as the transportation director for Salt Lake. And she was in charge of things like recruitment, training, CDL licensing for city snowplow drivers. So she at least has some idea of what goes on involved in there, but she's also been involved with a lot of other things regarding transportation and planning, including some of the safety features as part of the US DOT. And so, you know, she does have some knowledge, maybe not as much as we would like, but she probably has more than some of our past administrators, which is probably some of the good news. Before we start jumping in here with a couple of our callers that are already on the line tonight, you can take part of this conversation by either pushing that one button dialing app that says call us here on tncradio.live app, or you can dial 706 TNC0. That is 706-862-8620. And a moment ago, I mentioned something about autonomous level 1 and level 2. And basically, there's 5, or if you want to be technical, 6 levels of autonomous driving. Level 0, there's nothing in control of the vehicle at all but the driver. Level 1 is some type of driver assistance. Could be some form of a steering thing to help you keep it in the lane, or cruise control. So that's what they call level 1. Level 2 is both steering and acceleration or deacceleration are automated, but the driver has to be ready to take control of the vehicle at any time. So when you see a lot of these vehicles now that are talking, whether it's a Tesla type or some of these other cars talking about some of their self-driving modes, where you're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel and be ready to take over at a moment's notice, that would be level 2. Level 3 is all safety critical functions are automated, but the driver is present for certain things, which means you don't necessarily have the hands on your wheel, but you need to be able to pay attention in a matter of moments. So, you know, there's some arguments if that means you can maybe do texting or whatever. I'm going to say probably not. Level 4 is basically where they have all safety critical functions and roadway conditions for the full trip are controlled by the truck, but the driver's present. Theoretically, if you're a long distance hauler, that means the driver could go and lay down in the back if they felt safe enough, you know, during the stretches of road where it was prudent, and the truck would warn them when it was needed. Level 5 means it's supposed to be as good as a human driver, no human intervention required at all, so that there's no driver present in the vehicle. So those are the basically the 5 levels of autonomous driving. And what the FMCSA has just proposed and is going out in the Federal Register now, they want to do some testing where they get 100 volunteers. They're going to be divided into groups where basically they're going to test level 2 and level 3 driving to figure out how, basically for training to figure out, how much distraction is there with drivers, how well are they paying attention, really all that kind of stuff to put some guidelines together. And we'll be talking more throughout the show about some of the guidelines and the disjointedness of this current system that we see here as they're testing and bringing some of this to market. But now that we kind of have a basic understanding of what's going on, let's welcome here Bruce and Dutch. And Dutch, you haven't called us for a while, so let's start off with you tonight. What do you think about some of what's going on here?
Tell you the truth, I'm scared because I don't like the idea of truck, basically a rolling bullet, being driven by a computer. That's electronics. So if something electronics go wrong with the truck veers off, kills somebody. I don't think. I've been talking to other drivers about it, and we're all like, it's not going to happen. Not for the next 10 years. It's not going to be fully. I mean, I know one driver, you and I, Tom, both know her, TJ Granny. She actually drove a truck that she could just hit a button, do stuff on the side, and it'll drive for her. And she would hit the button again and start driving. She didn't trust that either. She didn't like that at all, because I talked to her about it. So how you like that? And Tom knows it. She goes, I hate it. Because I don't like not being in control of my vehicle, which is true. Because we're taught as drivers to be in full control at all times of our vehicle. So if you have autonomous, you're not in control. Something else is in control. I foresee maybe next 5 years it'll go to one level, but it's going to, I think it's more than anything else, it's going to be assisted for now. And then maybe 5-10 years, they'll try to get us all trained, or like you said, they're going to train us. But I don't think it's going to be within the next 5-6 years, maybe 10 years at the most, before we have anything. But I wish they wouldn't, tell you the truth. Why do they need it? Locally, I see it not really, because it's much traffic, I think. But over the road, long haul, that I've seen a couple of them down in Texas up I-35. I thought it was a spaceship. I mean, I asked the guy, what is this? He goes, it's an autonomous truck. I said, oh, really?
Yeah.
I looked inside of it. I mean, there's nothing but it's computers. I mean, but he said this is only in testing, and we're only doing it from, I think, Laredo up to the border and then back. He said, we have some trucks go from California to Texas and then back. And I asked him, I said, what do you foresee in the future? He said, it's going to be at least 10 years before we really get, because there's still glitches that have to be worked out. Same thing with Tesla. I mean, Tesla's been around for so long, there's still glitches with them.
And to say that Tesla has glitches is, I think, the understatement of the century. One of the things that you mentioned, and we'll kick it over here to Bruce real quick for a couple minutes before we go to our first break. If you want to take part of the conversation, remember, it's 706-862-8620. But you said, the driver needs to be in full control of the vehicle at all times. And not only is that something that we're trained to do, it's something that, according to the Green Book, says that is a full requirement, that the driver must be in full control of the vehicle at all times. So if the vehicle can now decide to randomly brake, accelerate, potentially change lanes, etc., is the driver in control? And what happens if there is an accident? Who's going to get the blame? And we already know the answer to that question. We already know the answer to that question, and you're right on that one.
Yes, we do.
And say, well, hey, Bruce, we've got a couple minutes here before our first break, so we'll start off with you and come back to you more here in a little bit. What are some of your thoughts?
I feel the same way Dutch does. I'm scared because I've got maybe 2, maybe 3 more years before I retire. And you look at the people that are coming into the industry, okay? They're already trained. They've got themselves trained. I need a GPS. I need this. I need that. Well, now you're going to drive the truck for them? No. They're going to, I'm sorry, they're going to be doing other things. And if, like he says, it's electronics. If say, God forbid, it gets struck by lightning going down the road in a storm. That truck goes haywire. Will the driver be able to overcome and get it stopped? I don't know. It's just so many ifs, and I'm scared.
I think we all have reason to be scared. And when you talk to some of the people that know computer programming and electronics, I don't know if scared is the right word, but they're concerned, scared, worried, pulling their hair out because of some of the misuse of certain terms and things like that. But the one thought I'm going to leave with us before we go to break here in just a second is a while back I was talking to a driver, and they had one of those mirror eye systems where their actual regular mirrors that we're used to were taken off the truck, and all they had was the screens. I mean, they had them so that if they had to be put on an emergency, they could be. But what I found out from them was when they got into a truck that had mirrors, their backing was affected because they were so used to the little computer telling them you're green for good, red for not good, yellow for, hey, maybe you need to get out and double check something. They had forgotten how to back up, and they were letting the computer tell them what to do and weren't trusting their skills. But anyways, we're going to be more with this topic right after this. As you can tell, we've got a lively conversation going here tonight. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel particulate filter regeneration.
the DPF catches particulates left over from combustion. The DPF regeneration cycle cleans the filter with temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. A computer sensor triggers the DPF regen, which is often accompanied by a loss of power and fuel economy. The frequency of DPF regens are in correlation to the cleanliness of the fuel burn. Under heavy operation with the dirty burn, DPF regens can occur multiple times per day. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme Fuel Additive promotes a more complete combustion, creating fewer emissions and therefore fewer DPF regens. Vehicles using Diesel Extreme experience 83% less DPF regens.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, Fine Farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
For the latest in Houston traffic, weather, news, and information, don't miss the Evening Surge, weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. on TNCRadio.live.
Building Strong Minds with Dr. Christopher Cortman every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. As a professional driver, you are always being told about the importance of physical fitness, your health. But what about mental fitness? On the show each week, we take on a new topic, from loneliness to the power of gratitude to how to build strong relationships, all from the perspective of a driver's life. It's every Monday on TNC Radio Live at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's Building Strong Minds.
Welcome back in TNC Radio.live. This is Keep On Talking with your host, Tom Kirk.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. We're here at the counter of knowledge, where the conversation's hot, the coffee is not, and the apple pie sure is lousy. But we've been talking tonight all things autonomous trucking and the FMCSA and some of the proposed regulations and rulemaking that are going to be coming up here over the next several months. And during the break, Bruce, you mentioned something that's a concern for you. What was it that you're thinking about? Has you worried about these autonomous trucks?
Well, we all see. Oh, the banks just got hacked. They stole our information. This got hacked. They got hacked. People, wake up. There's people out there that's going to do. They're just destructive people. That's the way the world is going nowadays. And it's been proven over and over again. You get the right person, he can hack into anybody's computer. So that's my biggest concern. You know,
I think that's a valid concern. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, yeah. And if you remember a few years ago, you had the people that were hacking into Jeeps through the radio system and things like that. And we're actually very lucky tonight. Tom Kelly is with us, and he has a bit of background in computers and computer security. So, Tom, I'm going to kick this over to you for a couple of minutes because you know far more about this than I ever will.
Yeah, I've got about 40 years in IT. And a lot of it working in computer security back before computer security was cool. And there's been a rumor out there for a while that if somebody had the right setup, they could hack in to a truck, even as it exists now, just as it exists right now, just going in through the diagnostic port, and could do things like slam on the brakes or rev the engine or those kinds of things. And I want you to know that those rumors are 100% true.
Wow.
And even as they're set up right now, that can happen. No reports of it ever having happened other than a university used multiple trucks. They did not want this to be a Kenworth problem or any particular, it's not a Volvo problem. This is a problem, period. And one of the things that we have to figure out before we go much further in autonomous trucking are all the security protocols that are going to be required to participate in doing autonomous gadgetry that you add to it. This isn't new. We've been doing this in aviation for 30 years plus, where you can't just add in, I've built a new altimeter and I'm going to throw this into airplanes and sell it. And no, you can't do that. It has to meet the security standards that are required for every piece of automation that goes on any kind of flying contraption that we have. And we're going to have to come up with the same level of standards across the trucking industry. And everybody's going to have to play by the standard or they don't get to play. And if you don't have that, these are all great conversations that they're having out there. And show me the money. And the money is, here's the book. Here's the book on the security standards and what every single piece of equipment's going to have with it and how you're going to protect each and every individual truck. Or I guarantee you, it's going to be super simple to impact and affect trucking. In some ways, it may be the best excuse a truck driver ever had. I got hacked. Prove I didn't.
That is so true. And I think that is something that is really scary. And something I want to point out on this too, which sort of goes along with this conversation, is the FMCSA is the one that regulates the safety of trucks and buses in the interstate commerce. But new motor vehicle standards, which would include the equipment that we're talking about, that's the province of the National Highway Safety Transportation Administration. And as well as the signage and the road systems and the lines, that's directed by the Federal Highway Administration. And yes, that is all under the U.S. Department of Transportation. But they've so far been technology neutral, saying, hey, we want researchers and these technology companies and everybody else to test different approaches. So they've been more relying on this neutral marketplace of ideas for advancement of technology than saying, hey, we need to come up with some standards to at least make sure that all the equipment's going to talk right, and more importantly, it's going to be safe and reduce hacking. And then you throw on top of this, the states are controlled of drivers' licensures. When states realize that they have the potential to start losing revenue from CDLs, what's going to be their reaction? Because we've all seen their reactions when they started losing revenue from hours of service violations from logbooks. So this is a mess. And then you couple it in with the cybersecurity, it's an even bigger mess. So now that Tom has really kind of made us all worry about when the next time our trucks are going to unexpectedly break on us.
But Tom, go ahead, Tom. Sorry. Take one more piece in here too. Let's say everybody snapped their fingers today and said, boom, we're going. We're going to put this stuff on, and here we go right now. We still don't have the chips to do it, and we won't for at least 2 years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think on some of these higher technology chips, or maybe not even some of the higher technology chips, but a lot of the lower level ones that are being real commonly used, there's some talk now that the shortage might be even longer than 2 years. Am I correct on that?
Yeah,
or
I'm being somewhat optimistic by saying 2 years, but even if we solved all of the what if problems that are out there and decided to do this right away, it's dreaming to think that this is happening anytime soon.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I want to get the conversation going on this show and get drivers to start paying attention to these notices of proposed rulemaking and reach out to their senators and representatives and the state level, because there are so many issues in here. We're the ones that are going to have to deal with this. And to some extent, it's our reputation as drivers. If things start going wrong and we're saying, hey, it was this, and like Tom said, well, prove I wasn't hacked. Well, they're going to say, well, you were supposed to be in full control of your vehicle. How if I was hacked? Then they're going to bring up this age-old argument. And Bruce, I think you and Dutch know where I'm going to go. Well, if you didn't feel the vehicle was safe, then you shouldn't have been driving it because you have an obligation not to drive an unsafe vehicle. Is this a catch-22 or is it a catch-22?
Yeah.
Dutch, I'll kick it over to you and then we'll bring it back to Bruce again.
I see what you're saying, though. I mean, like Tom Kelly was saying that, prove I wasn't hacked. And then he's going to say, well, because I work for DART, and they're going to call me, well, why are you going to drive the vehicle? Well, they say, well, I had no control. It was moving on its own. And how'd you stop it? I turned it off. I hit the brakes, but still, I mean, it's out there. I mean, I remember, what was it, just to get off topic, a couple of years ago, Target was hacked and everybody's information was taken by a 14-year-old kid. A 14-year-old. I'm like, that is scary. If a 14-year-old is that smart to be able to hack and steal 100,000 people's credit card information, what else can they do? How much longer is it going to be before they're trained to do everything else that we're talking about?
Yeah, but hackers are by and large stupid, and they get most of their information from going to other people, getting things off the darknet, things that reasonable people would never actually do. You get a 14-year-old kid go, I'll do that. And that's the real danger in some of this, is these people really don't even know what they're doing when they're hacking.
I mean, isn't a great example of this? And albeit we're talking about a movie here. That movie, I can't remember if it was from the 80s or the 90s, where the kid ended up thinking he was hacking or playing a game server and ended up going into the back door of the nuclear commands and almost started a nuclear war, thinking he was playing some version of a a
I forget what movie. I know what movie you're talking about. With young kid. I know there's a movie Hackers with Angela Jolie and
there was that movie too, which was a different one. Yeah. But the whole point is some of these kids are doing it either because they're bored or to prove a point, and the adults are doing it for whatever set of reasons, which I don't understand. But that's neither here nor there. But hey, we're coming up on a break, so let's take a moment here. We're going to come back with more right after this. You're listening to Keep On Talking Live. We still got some phone lines open. 706-862-8620 is our numbers. Thank you.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Kortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. We're talking about stress and how for some people, stress comes from jumping out of an airplane while other people relax by doing such. We talked about Hans Selye and his general adaptation syndrome that demonstrates that we go from alarm reaction to resistance to exhaustion, which leads to disease and then to death. But now I want to talk to you about how we shut off the stress response. And this is very simple. What stops the mind from perceiving threat is when we believe that this is okay. You've done this thousands of times in your life, you just don't know that you have. For instance, anytime you say something like, it's only money, and money comes and goes. Or you say, there's nothing we can do about that, so let's just move on. Or, it's in the Lord's hands, just leave it to God. Or, the surgeon said that she got all of it, and I'm going to trust her that I'll be fine from here. There are so many ways that we can accept what's happening, and by doing so, shut off the stress response. In fact, one of the challenges I would have for you is think, what in my life is stressing me right now, and what can I do about it? And that hopefully will include things like problem solving. And maybe you'll need a financial manager, or maybe you'll need some physical tests, or whatever it is you need. But once you have done everything you can do about something, you'll need to let go of the rest. The mind needs to say it's okay in order to shut off the stress response. And then maybe you'll be able to do some skydiving.
Ready for the power of positive and something that will put you back to a time you wanted to last forever? Music is the ultimate time machine. What was your favorite time? Do you want to go back there? LTD Radio features the songs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s that will transport you to a happier time. It'll make you smile and brighten your day. We could all use that about now. TNCRadio.live is proud to carry the great music of LTD Radio.
Welcome back in TNCRadio.live. This is Keep On Truckin' with your host. I'll keep on talking with your host, Tom Kurt.
Hey, Tom, thanks for that introduction. And with the way I've been having trouble talking off air, we just won't go into that today. But hey, we've just been joined by another caller, Travis. We'll get to you here in a second. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight, we're talking about autonomous trucking, the FMCSA, and some of these proposed regulations and rulemaking. You can join the conversation at 706-862-8620, or you can push that Call Us button on the TNCRadio.live app and join the conversation that way. How are you doing tonight, Travis?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Glad you could call in tonight. It's been a little while since we've heard from you. So you've been hearing...
I've been very busy.
Oh, I understand that. I think you've been hearing some of the conversation tonight. What are some of your thoughts as to what we've been discussing?
Well, I can tell you that right now, I'm sorry, our infrastructure is not set for autonomous trucks. And they're trying to move them too quick, too fast. And I already can see that's going to be a problem with accidents across the nation.
And I think that is definitely something we've got to be concerned about, is things of that nature. With the thoughts that the FMCSA is talking about in this research they want to do, which is going to be, a simulator study to see how fast drivers react to different situations with the truck, either in level 2 or level 3 mode. What are your thoughts? They're only talking about each session being 4 hours for level 2 and level 3. Do you guys think that's long enough? One of my thoughts is if you really want to see how a driver is going to react, they need to work a normal driving shift. They need to be at least 9-10 hours behind the wheel of the simulator, maybe over a couple of days, 2 or 3 shifts to get a better idea of things. Do you think that the proposed study is even adequate to determine how drivers are going to react to set up some of the training standards. Travis, we'll come to you first.
Well, that right there is, everybody reacts differently to different things. Okay, the reaction times are a lot different during weather, during, during snowstorms, during everything. Everything is different, and you can't say one driver drives like somebody else. We all drive different.
And that's and at least they are going to test 100 drivers on this, but still at the same token, is that enough of a sample size? Somebody who's more familiar with statistics than myself and Tom Kelly, that's probably a question maybe for you. Usually for a decent statistical analysis side, don't they usually want at least 500 people? Is 100 even enough to get something like that?
They need to, because statistics is only going to show a limited amount. 100 is not even a quarter of what we've got out there today.
Yeah.
That is maybe not even, I would say, a tenth, but that ain't even a tenth of it. They need 500 plus drivers. If they had the 500 plus drivers, they might get a better statistics.
Well, and I think that's something important to kind of focus on. Sorry to jump in there. Is we're talking some about this comment period that they're getting ready to open up on this study that they're doing here for the public comment period, and that's something I think drivers need to comment on. Is saying, hey, is 100 drivers even going to be enough of a sample size to give you this information? Shouldn't it be more statistically significant, like 500 or 1,000 or whatever it's going to be? So that's something there that I think is worthwhile. We'll come back to you here in a second, Travis. I want to give Bruce and Dutch a chance to kind of jump in a little bit on this. Bruce, we'll go to you first, and we'll go to you, Dutch. What are some of your thoughts?
Well, I think we have I'm just going to throw a number, 3 million drivers out here now.
Paul, depending on which set of numbers you look at, yeah, but that's a fair number.
Right. So you're going to take 100 drivers out of 3 million. Something wrong with that picture. You should at least take a quarter of how many drivers are out here and go that way.
Well, and
do it that way.
Well, and I see your point. Could you even get a quarter of drivers to volunteer for a study like that? And that's one of the reasons I'm throwing out a number like 500, because wasn't it? And Bruce or Dutch, or you might even remember this, Travis, a couple of years ago, they wanted to do a study, I think, on distracted driving or something like that by putting some cameras in the cab. And they were trying to get, I think it was 100 drivers for that. And I think they got, was it 5 or 10 to volunteer? They couldn't even do the study because drivers had so many concerns. That's one of the reasons I think they're doing this as a simulator, and they're keeping the numbers lower, hoping they're going to get more numbers. One of the concerns that I have is that you're going to get some of these newer drivers that are more maybe computer simulator trained or work for some of the mega fleets go, oh yeah, I want to participate in this for whatever set of reasons. And the older, more experienced drivers, because of, frankly, our distrust of the process, may stay away. So, is that even going to necessarily give you good results? Bruce, real quick, what are your thoughts? And then we're going to kick it back over to Dutch.
If they're going to use a simulator, I'm sorry. Simulators are good to a point. You're trying to do something like that for what we do? No, you need to be out here because things change within minutes.
Yeah.
Out here. On a simulator, they don't. And I'm sorry, simulators just, no.
I mean, theoretically,
against it.
I don't know how they're. Let me jump in here real quick, and I'll throw it to you, Dutch. I don't know how they're going to set this simulator up, but my thought is they're going to throw different real-world examples, at different times where the driver is going to have to take control over from the vehicle. Is my thought. So they're going to be able to throw out more scenarios in a shorter period of time than you would see in a real-world situation, but also with some of this disjointed regulations across all the states, that we mentioned earlier. I think it's going to be hard, if not impossible, to do real world testing for what they're talking about, which is just trying to get a feel of how drivers are going to react to this, handle the technology, a whole bunch of issues of that nature, and then set up training standards for drivers. So I kind of see where they're going. I agree with you that it would be a lot better to do it real world, but I know drivers like myself, I can't see myself agreeing to use this technology because, like we said, we don't trust it. How do we know? Is there a kill switch where if something goes wrong, I can hit it and the computer shuts off and I have 100% control? I'm not aware of one. And that's some of the things that concerns me. Dutch, we're going to kick this to you here real quick before we go to our next break. What are some of your thoughts?
Well, I remember when I first came back into trucking 2013, I went to Snyder, and Snyder has a simulator that you have to go through when going to training. It does blowout, it does rain, it does hills, it does mountains, it does everything possible that you could think of on the road. So it teaches you, okay, if you have a blowout, you got to do this. What they should do is get in contact with any of these companies that have these simulators themselves and say, here's the software, put it in your truck, and then tell your students, hey, we're going to do this. It's part of the testing or whatever. It's that's part of the orientation. Hey, just do like a couple of times. Tell us what you think about the way that it's going to work, if it's going to work. I mean, yeah, they're new people, but it's one way of doing it. Or if someone has to get retested, or they just say, hey, Snyder, get it like as many as your drivers you can to go through the simulator, and we'll give you an incentive. We'll tell you, okay, hey.
Well, and I see what you're saying, and I'm going to throw out a question here. Is we already see some of these mega fleets, and I won't mention the names that are involved in some of these companies, because they do seem to say, hey, we're looking at this for some of our routes that we maybe are not as popular or whatever among drivers or whatever, to replace drivers. If we were to get the companies involved in testing, sort of like they were in the whole fiasco with setting up for the alleged regulations about the CPAP testing and stuff, if we were to get some of these big companies involved, are we going to be able to trust the results? Are they going to skew them in their financial interests, like some of the anecdotal evidence suggests about some of the other things that have happened in the industry when these big money groups get involved? So I think that's something that we need to think about. And you know what? While we think about that, let's take a break, and we'll be back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
I'm Shelley Johnson with Kathy Tuccaro. You can hear us Tuesdays on TNCRadio.live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Women Road Warriors. And don't miss Steve Summers' Overnight Drive right here on TNCRadio.live, weeknights midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
This blog on TNC Radio is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. The 5 best truck stops in America. Truck drivers spend days, sometimes weeks, out on the road. Sometimes taking a break at a nice truck stop's a great way to relax and take your mind off driving. There are many truck stops across the United States, but we listed the 5 best truck stops that every trucker needs to stop and experience. Little America, Wyoming. The Little America Truck Stop is located in Little America, Wyoming. It's a mini chain truck stop with several locations throughout the country for truckers to enjoy. Little America offers a wide variety of services to truck drivers. Some of the services include service truck roadside repair, tire repair, new tires, wheel seals, oil changes, water pumps, brakes, courtesy property shuttle, AC repairs, belts, DOT inspections, and trailer tarp installation. Iowa 80, Walcott, Iowa. Iowa 80 is a place where truckers want to stop. It's the world's largest truck stop, and it's filled with tons of activities and tourist attractions. Truck drivers can stop and enjoy a nice meal, watch a movie, or stop by the trucking museum. Iowa 80 also has a full range of truck services and amenities. Some of the services and amenities include cat scale, chiropractor, convenience store, interstate dental, dog-a-mat, fuel center, laundry facility, library, travel service center, truck-a-mat, and a workout room. South of the border, Hammer, South Carolina. Pedro's Truck Stop, also known as Porky's, located in Hammer, South Carolina, is a world-famous roadside attraction for tourists and truck drivers. Pedro's filled with many different activities, unique foods and shopping. It also offers truck drivers supplies, showers, a trucker's lounge, and 24/7 fresh hot coffee. Trails Travel Center, Albert Lee, Minnesota. Trails Travel Center is everything a truck driver needs and amazing food. Some of the Trails Travel Center's food options are a tavern, Cold Stone Creamery, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and McDonald's. Truckers can also stop and shop heavy-duty truck parts or chrome parts. Trails Travel Center also has a truck service that offers drivers wash services, tire services, wheel alignments, and suspension repair. Jubit's, Portland, Oregon. Jubit's is a family-owned truck stop and boasts of being the world's classiest truck stop. They were also recently named the second-best rest stop in America. Drivers can enjoy a 24-hour full-service Cascade Grill restaurant, a 100-room hotel, movie theater, barber shop, and more. Jubit's also has a truck service center and is committed to providing truck drivers the best tires, truck maintenance, and truck repair. Some of their services include engine diagnostics, oil change, DOT inspection, glass replacement, metal fabrication, welding, tires, tire service, and airbags. Plus, brake service, truck trailer alignment, shock absorbers, air conditioning maintenance, electrical diagnostics, battery service, suspension repair, electronic logging devices, lubricant service, APU installation and service. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Hey drivers, did you hear music on tncradio.live that you really liked? Or maybe you heard us interview an author of a book you'd like to read or listen to. You can get the books, music, and other products you hear about by going to our website at www.tncradio.live and clicking on the shopping cart.
tncradio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
Welcome back in tncradio.live. This is Keep On Talking with your host, Tom Kirk.
Hey, welcome back to the Counter of Knowledge, where we've been having a very lively conversation tonight about FMCSA, autonomous trucking, and really kind of all things trucking and trucking-related technology security. We've got a couple new callers with us, and I think we have a first-time caller, and I hope I'm getting the name right there. Mona, are you with us tonight?
Oh, I am here. How are you?
I'm doing well, and did I get the name right?
Yes, it's Mona. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. So since you're the first time, we're going to give you the floor for a little bit here. What are some of your thoughts about what we've been talking about? You still there, Mona? Oh, I think we just lost Mona. We did. Well, hopefully she'll call back here in a second before we go off air. But Catwoman, I know you're back here tonight. Why don't you kind of let us know what some of your thoughts are from what you've been hearing?
I agree with you, Tom, that I've not heard anything about any kind of kill switch for the driver/operator that's going to be in the vehicles along with that. And that would be one of my biggest concerns. And not to mention, Mellon College was investigating, and I apologize, I don't know the date of the accident, but an autonomous vehicle had ran across 4 lanes of traffic and hit the wall on the other side of the highway. And the college had investigated what was going on with that. They tried to, the company tried to blame it on the driver's error, but the college had found out that it was that the software was not updated fast enough. So that has to be updated. It's at the college said that like within seconds, whatever was just uploaded into those vehicles is obsolete. So it has to have a continuous loop of being uploaded all the time on those vehicles. And that's what happened. I guess whatever that was with that, it falsely detected a person in the highway, and the person was not there. And they said, Mellon College said it's because the software was not updated correctly. And, just simple fears like that, that much weight, those types of vehicles on the highway, I think it's just going to be suicide once, you get so many of them on the road.
And I think that is a concern. Hey, Tom Kelly, with some of your background on this, have you heard anything about these continuous updates, or is that something they're going to have to be looking at, or could they do, updates every so many days, or how would that work from your experience?
Again, at all levels of autonomy, we don't have the book. And I know you're like, what? Right. What is he talking about? Until we have what the standards are. And they're being written. Don't get me wrong. They're working on it. But we don't have the standards. And so all the stuff that we're playing around with right now, I'm going to go back to using flight as our analogy. It'd be like jumping in a cockpit and having no rhyme or reason as to where you think you're going to go. You just jump in and go, well, I'm going to go land at the next airport I see. You have to have the rules that go along with how all of this is supposed to work. And right now, the industry, those making the devices, are making the rules. That's totally backwards. You can't do it that way. It has to start in the truck and determine what's the wise thing there. And that's what determines the rules, not they come up with a device and they stick it in the truck, and now the truck and the driver have to figure out how to make it work.
And that makes sense.
If I could comment real quick.
Sure, Cameron. Go right ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that was one of the things that the college had said, that they were privately investigating that because the driver was blamed for that accident, even though there wasn't any loss of life or injuries or anything like that. There was an investigation on it, and that was exactly what they said. The reports of these kind of accidents and everything, they're most of them, as you see, they blame on driver error. The assistant, whoever's in the truck with them, as error. And they're suppressing, they said, a lot of the reports that it's software glitches and software issues. And like Tom Kelly had said, we don't know what's in it. That's like, buy the book and, see if you like it later kind of thing. And so they're just not letting that out because they want to keep the funding going and their investments that continue to come in.
And that makes
a lot of sense. Example.
Hey, what was that, Bruce?
I have a perfect example of what you're talking about.
Okay.
And it's already happened.
Okay.
My company used to run PeopleNet. Okay, and we were having problems with PeopleNet. And a lot of companies were having problems with PeopleNet and still do. This is what was told to me. Okay? The e-logs, when they went straight to e-logs, the FMCSA said, all right, we need this, and this. This has got to be, you got to do it this way. Well, they keep changing what they want. And they keep giving the makers the new changes on what they want. They want it so fast that they can't come up with the software fast enough and can't work the bugs out.
Lovely. So, I mean, this is a case of, what we're talking about here is literally the inmates are running the asylum.
Yes.
Yes, and think about it, okay? When you're driving down the road, how do they send the updates out?
Wirelessly, or in some cases, you have to hook up to Wi-Fi or something, but yes.
Yes, and if you have a dead zone, you're not going to get that.
Right. And so, like what Catwoman was saying, it needed the update like now, and it didn't pick it up, and that's what caused the crash.
And that's a big problem. And you know what, guys? I hate to do this, but we're getting close here to the top of the hour. We're going to have to take a break. I want to remind everybody, we've been talking about a bunch of different things tonight, and now's the time with some of your concerns. Start reaching out to your state legislators, because that's important, because states are involved in currently allowing these systems being tested on our highways. That's at a state level, not a federal level, for some of the stuff that's happening there. Get a hold of your congressional representatives, your House members, your Senate members. Let them know some of your concerns. Write some polite letters. With these public comment periods that are coming up, I'll give you the docket number real quick on this one. It's going to be FMCSA 2022-0163. This is specifically on this testing for the level 2 and level 3s that they're talking about for some of the training purposes. But there's going to be more coming up, which is important. Listen to us. Particularly if you're an OIDA member, you can reach out to them, and they'll be more than happy to give you information on that. It's really important we as drivers stay involved in this process, because, yes, it affects our livelihoods, but also affects the industry as a whole that we know and love. On that note, we're getting ready to bring in Angie and Larry Baum with Taillights and their guests tonight. And then coming up right after them, an hour later, is going to be Anderson and Banker with Clutch Time Sports. We've had a great conversation tonight. There was more I even wanted to get to that we couldn't tonight. So we'll be coming back to this topic here probably in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. Definitely listen in. If we couldn't get to you tonight, we had some technical issues. Hopefully we'll get that worked out for next week. Stay tuned for Taillights coming up next here on TNCRadio.live.